Hey everyone, and welcome to Adobe Live Pro Tips. My name is Alex Hogue, and we are going to be talking about how to make mogrt files inside of After Effects for use in Premiere Pro. A little bit about me. I am a videographer, editor, drone pilot based out in Bend, Oregon, and I run a small studio here. And yeah, thanks for joining in. I do see, hey Kayla, hey Roland, Clarissa, thanks everyone for joining in the chat. We do have a lot to cover today, so I am going to be going pretty fast, but I've sent the moderators some links and you can follow along in the project if you want or check it out later. I'm also giving a free mogrt template, and they should also have two links here that I will show. Let's see here if we cut over to my screen. We have a page here that goes a little bit more in depth on mogrt optimization and just how to keep things running fast. It's a little nerdy, so I won't get into all of that today. And then there's also another page here that we can share out on Adobe about working with motion graphics templates. So this is some of my work here. Like I said, I run a small business up in Bend, Oregon. And then if you have any questions, send me a DM on Instagram after the show, and I will do my best to try to help you because I want to teach you how to do all this stuff. All right. So if you also haven't already, be sure to subscribe to Adobe Live on YouTube and over on Instagram. All that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump in. So first, I want to show you how we can, or actually, I'm going to show you what we're building because that's probably the most important part, is to understand what we're actually doing, what a mogrt file is, which is basically a template that we build out in After Effects, and then it shows up here in Premiere in your templates area under the Essential Graphics window, which can be found under Window, Essential Graphics. So when you have it, it would show up here, and then you drag it in onto your timeline. I already have one here, but let's just play through. This is a project I already built, and we're gonna rewind and then show you how it's done in After Effects. So let's check it out. All right, so what do we have going on here? We have some motion blur. We have like this little flash effect. We have things scaling in, all kinds of stuff happening. Different text. We got the spin. So again, we're not building out this exact thing because I've already done that. So what I'm going to be doing is showing you how to templatize that. So let's go ahead at this point. And I would just want to show you what that looks like. So this layer right here is actually my mogrt file, the one that I've already made. But I want to show you what we did here. So if we look over here in that Essential Graphics window, we have images, and these are all toggleable. So I grouped everything together. So we have our images, we have our text, and we have our background and flash. So what is all that stuff? Just so we understand exactly what we're going to be building in After Effects. Flash is kind of, we see this little effect right here, and it's just kind of, it's a flash. So we set that up to be toggleable on a checkbox, so we can turn it on or off if we wanted to inside of Premiere. Background here, we are able to change the color. Let's say maybe we wanted it to be black. Boom, we can change that. Or let's say maybe we don't want a background at all and we just want that transparency. We can do that as well. Moving right along, we have our text coming up here where we can edit our text. We can change what it says. We'll get into that in another example. We can change the fonts. We can change all sorts of stuff here. And we even put a thing here so we can change the color, which would change both at the same time. Pretty cool. And all this is done right inside of Premiere after we build the template. But, having my photo here of Crater Lake in Oregon, that's probably not helpful to most people. So let's see some other ways that this template can be used. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate it over here. And the way this is built out, it's so cool because maybe I want to just swap the image that is there. So let's go ahead and just drag and drop. Boom, we got a new image popping up. And then our second image, toggle this down. We have our these photos are formatted already for 9:16, which helps, but it's also built in so you can kind of scale it a little bit. But I would recommend if you're going to utilize this template, have something that's already set up for 9:16 scale, so vertical setting. So drop both of these in. And again, hey, everyone in the chat, if you have any questions, be sure to throw them in there. I'm going to try to get through them. What's up, Alejandro? Nice to have you in the chat. Coming back into this, so we have our images here we can swap out. And again, maybe if you don't, excuse me, if you don't want an image, maybe it's not two images together, but another way we could utilize this is actually, let's go ahead and like come into text. Let's just go ahead and delete this text here because we don't want anything there. And then same with our bottom text. Don't want anything there. And maybe this is, I did this already, so this is kind of cool. Another way to use it. I'm going to swap out this second image for this one. And I did this once already, so I'm going to change the scaling here. Let's go take a look at what this looks like. So I'm actually affecting the scale here. It won't show up until you hit enter, but we can just change a few settings in here. We're going to go 507 and 867 and then check this out. Now I have this kind of cool effect going on here, and maybe we just have the line. Maybe this says in our text, this is all editable, all within Premiere. Maybe this is, let's see, top text could be summer vibes. And that's, you know, let's make this back to like black, and it's a little big, so we can go 180. You get the idea. Oops, sorry. Let's do white. Back to the original, and then the bottom could be winter vibes. So there's a lot of functionality here. You can change images, you can do different things, all within Premiere, which is really cool. So now that you kind of hopefully get the gist of what we're doing here, I'm going to go ahead and take you into After Effects, and we're going to fly through how to rig up some of this. And again, the size here is also editable, but you get the idea. So we can change this to 180. And then we have kind of a whole different vibe going on here where it's going between two different things. So a lot of things you can do here. Hopping over into After Effects, this is the rigged project, which is already built out. So what I did was duplicate this into this sequence here that we can work in and kind of try to go through and rig out as much as we have time for today. So let's go ahead and get into it. What is step number one? So step number one, we want to go to that essential graphics window right here. That's going to pop open this window here. Right now, I'm still set up on this one that I did previously. So you can see how everything in Premiere actually is easily translated in After Effects here to where I built it. So this is that same window that we had going on. All we do is we're just dragging in different effects that then show up inside of Premiere here in the Essential Graphics window. So that's all we're doing. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. We have our new composition here. Popped open our Essential Graphics window. Now, really important, make sure under this tab here, the primary, you go to whatever, let's see, whatever composition you actually want to be rigging. So this is my new one for Adobe Live. So just make sure you're selected on the composition you want to rig up. And there's nothing here. All right, so we're going to rename this. We'll say Adobe Live 9:16. Kayla's asking, how do you put the image on the template? In Premiere, it's just that drag and drop. So to put it in here, I'm going to get to that in just a moment. First, I want to cover, actually, we could do it right now. So first thing I'm going to do down here, we have add formatting, which is you can add different groups. You can add a comment if you want someone to see what template says on Premiere. We're going to add some groups here, and I'm just going to add 3 of them for right now. Whoops. And you'll see why this just kind of helps make it easier to toggle and navigate throughout template. But I don't need that many right now. So this one, we'll call this images. We'll call the next one, let's call it text. And then the last one, we can just call this background. And then we also need, so the things we need to rig up, we need our flash, we need the background, our images, and then here's our text, as well as this line. It would be cool if we can, you know, change the color of that line or change the thickness, which is also very cool. Awesome. Awesome. Thanks everyone in the chat. All right, let's get into it. So the first thing, since it was asked, how do we do the images? You saw how you do it after the fact. To bring those in, it's super simple. I have these templates, or sorry, these compositions. And these compositions, if we click into them, that's just for the images. It's just pre-comped. And if I bring up my composition settings, you can see that it's already set up to be the size that I want in the template. That just makes it easier when someone drags and drops it in. It'll automatically try to scale to this size. So I set these pre-comps to be 1080 by 1920. And then your image, you can just bring in here because this image is huge. So pre-comp your compositions that you want your image in. It's kind of like a placeholder. And then what you do, we have this first image here. All you do is take it and drag it up into here under images. And then here we go. We have our first image and it automatically creates this drag and drop format, which is awesome. So cool. So yeah, here's our image. Let's go ahead and bring in our second one also under images. And you can kind of move it around. I want it to be below the second one because again, we want to format this to look nice. You can set thumbnail image, which also brings me to another point. We have this image up here in this corner. That we can also set our poster time, which is what shows up in Premiere. If you're sending this to a client, under your templates, it's basically what this looks like. So you can pick and choose, you know, a frame that looks good for you. Right now it's set to the opening, but maybe we want to change it to be here. Just boom, set it there. And there you go. So now when we bring this into Premiere, it'll transfer over. So we have our images in here. And these images, you don't see it on here, but it will automatically bring in the associated scale and positioning information. So you don't have to do that, which is really, really nice. Okay, moving right along. We have our images in. Next thing I want to do is talk about how to use a checkbox effect to turn things on and off like we saw for the flash and like we saw for the background. So let's start with the background. And the first thing to know about mogurts is you can't just drag in you know, this all the time and that's going to work. It's going to give you this message that says, hey, you know, I don't know what to do with this. I need to see the actual property. So what we need to do here, and there is no way to actually tell it, hey, what color is the actual solid. So the workaround for that is we're going to add a fill effect. So we have fill here, type it in the effects, and we're going to bring this over and we have fill. So now, and of course I already had it on there, so I'm going to delete this one. So now what's going on, and let's just go ahead and actually redo all this. So we have our fill here. We select the color and let's go to here. We have this background with this effect. So we control the color through here and it'll change. So now we need to tell this, unfortunately, we can't just bring this over. It doesn't do anything. So what we need to do, come into this little caret icon and twirl it down. Effects, now we have fill, and you need to select the actual property. This is really important for building mogurts. So here we have our color. Now we can bring this in and put this here. And we could rename this to background fill. Or actually, we have a group already. So let's just call it color. And then we can drag this inside of our background. So now we got background color. We can change that. We'll see it should be affected here as soon as you update. Now, what if we want to have a checkbox to turn that on and off? So if we come over to effects, checkbox, checkbox control, that's what we want to bring in. We have this here, but it doesn't do anything yet. So we need to set an expression to tell it, hey, when the box is checked, I want the background. When it's unchecked, I don't want a background. And we can rename this background on off. So what we do, and the way to do that is we're going to do the transparency here. So I'm going to hold Alt and click on this stopwatch. And all I'm going to do is drag this little pick whip right up to the checkbox. Now this is linked to here. But we see it's still kind of being weird. Like even when it's on, it's gone. So we need to modify this and do times 100, which is going to tell it to take this opacity, whatever it is, that value times 100. So it's at 100%. And hopefully I did that right. There we go. So that's the only modification you need to make. And now we turn this on and off and it's functioning just as we'd expect. So just be sure to note if you have problems with that, just be sure to add that times 100 at the end. So we got our background here. How are we doing on time? We're doing pretty good. Cruising right along. Again, if you have questions along the way, I know this is a lot, but I just kind of want to get you the oversight to go ahead and take it down on your own. All right. So next we have our flash. We're going to do the exact same thing here. We're going to go into opacity. Well, what's going on? Whoops. Opacity. See here, because the way this is built, it actually, let's see, I turn off this layer to show you guys what it's doing here. So there's actually keyframes on here and you can't, if I were to try to take this opacity and drag it on, it's going to tell me, hey, your property is keyframed. If you change this, you're going to lose all that information. So we actually don't want to do that. And that's not what we want. So what's the workaround for this? So what we can do is grab this transform effect, and that's here in effects, transform. We're going to drag that onto this flash effect. And now we have another option for opacity here. Now on top of that, we still need our checkbox. Bring that in. And let's see, we want it. So we want it by default, we want it checked on. And we want that at 100%. So again, I won't be able to do this here, but if I toggle down into these effects, this is the regular transform. We want the actual transform effect. So we come here and let's toggle down our checkbox. So here's our checkbox. It's currently on. We're going to pick whip this. I held Alt and clicked on that. Bring this up to here. And again, we add times 100. And hopefully, if we did it right, let's see here. What are we missing? Let's actually just take that off. Something here, I'm going too quick and getting ahead of myself. Well, I'm not quite sure what I'm missing there, but the process is the same. We can come back to that if we have time, but I want to keep on moving along in the stream. But the process is the same. You basically pick whip. Sorry about that. Probably going too fast through that, but we can come back to figure out why that's not working. Anyways, let's go ahead and move along because the idea is the same. So let's talk about the text here. We want to make this editable, so we want to bring this all into our template that we're building here. And again, we have to twirl this down. You can't just drag and drop this into your text bucket. You'll get this error message. So what's essential is that you toggle down text in your text layer, and this source text is what you want to bring in. And boom, top text. Now, if you want to be able to change the fonts, the sizing, that sort of stuff, you hit this edit properties button and then you check whatever you want to turn on, have it all there. And yes, Roland's saying you should be able to work with the opacity keyframes and expression with value checkbox control. Yes, I believe you're right. It's been a couple weeks since I've done this, so bear with me, so it's not all fresh in my mind. But yes, that could potentially be an option worth trying. But again, I'm going to just kind of keep moving for the sake of time since we only have such a short amount of time here. But it is possible. I think, yeah, maybe we just try linking, changing the expression around, but I'm not going to get into all that at this moment. So we have our text here. Let's go ahead and bring in our other bottom text. And then one thing you'll notice, alt clicking, whoops, not alt clicking, we're dragging. We have our bottom text here. Now, the other thing I want to do that's not included in these edit properties is you can't change the color, which is pretty essential if you're giving this to someone. They might want to change it to their brand colors or whatever colors they want. So Again, we kind of do that workaround here where we grab a fill. And I'm going to go ahead and, for the sake of this stream, I'm going to put a fill color on each text, and you can edit that. It is also possible to set up a control layer at the top of your composition and link everything to that control layer so that you kind of set up themes so you can actually select one button and it changes all the text colors universally in the whole thing. You can also build this composition out for a 16:9 and set up that top layer and have it link to another composition if you want it to be 9:16 and switch back and forth between the aspect ratio. So there's a lot that's possible. It gets a little bit more involved, but I just want to show you the basics of what's possible. So here, now we see we got this color. We want it white by default. Whatever you set here is going to be the default settings. And then let's go ahead and just copy this fill and we'll put it on this one as well. Paste. Now, if we toggle down under effects, we have this fill and we can add fill here. Oops, where'd it go? Sorry, see, even there I messed up. I dragged this fill and that doesn't really work. You actually have to make sure to come in and drag the color. All right, so this is our bottom text color. And then we have our top text color, which we can bring in, but we are running out of time. Holy cow, this goes fast. So that is how you set this up. I'm going to forego doing the same thing on the top right now. And yeah, I do want to show you guys how to export this. But the other thing here with our line, we would basically go through and do the exact same process. We just twirl things down. We add a fill effect if you need to change colors. For this shape layers here, if you go into contents, I have these shapes here. You can bring in all sorts of properties here. If you actually hit this solo supported properties up top, it'll show you everything that's supported in a mogrt that you can drag in. So in our case, in the finished version, I grabbed the, what was it? I took the, I think the stroke width and everything, so you can change the width of your stroke and just, you know, the colors and all that sort of stuff in there. So a lot of potential and possibility. Let's go ahead and assume, since we are short on time, so sorry this is quick, but I hope you're learning a lot, and definitely hit pause and watch the replay. Now, let's say we finished rigging everything up, which I think you should have the basis on how to do that at this point. It's fairly easy, but you do need to know your way around After Effects. Now we come up here to this essential graphics panel for our export, and let's rename it to whatever we want the final mogrt file to be. Set your time, make sure everything's working. You can add comments if you need to, and then we hit this export motion graphics template. Project needs to be saved. Yes. Trimming will be applied to, so there are things, and check out the links that I had the moderators send earlier for the resources. There are things that don't work in mogrt, like time remapping, that sort of stuff. Don't worry about it here. Save it to the local templates folder or wherever you'd like. And then you can put some keywords in here. You hit OK. And then font, it'll notify you if there is a font in the project when you open it in Premiere, the template, if you don't have that font. So then you save it, and then automatically within Premiere, come over to your essential windows, and it might take a second, but basically I might actually have to reopen Premiere. But what would happen, since we are short on time, oh no, there it goes. So this is it right here. And you would just, again, drag and drop, and you have your template here with everything that we've been building out, which is so cool. So cool. And again, just go through, refine it, have fun with it. Let's go ahead and see. Let's see. Do we have any questions in the chat? Where will this be stored after live? Anthony, yes, this will be archived on YouTube and Behance. So definitely replay, rewatch, share it with anyone. And again, I wanted to give you guys the project file so you can play around. I know this is short. I also am giving you the mogrt file. Check that out in the description. Again, if you have any questions, let me know and just send me a DM over on Instagram. We can hang out, we can chat. I don't have much else, but it's pretty cool to see what this is capable of. And let's see if we have any other questions coming in. Thank you so much, Tim, Falcon. Appreciate the support. If you like this kind of stuff, let me know. I'll try to get on Adobe, and maybe they can have me back here and do some more. We do have more coming up. We're hanging out with my good buddy James, who's going to be talking about pancakes, or at least that's what he said. But I think what he really means is cinematic editing for vertical videos. So that's going to be cool. Stick around for that. It's coming up next. Yeah, that's all I got. Be sure to check out the project files and then the other website resources for Mogurts if you want to deep dive into this. And guys, thanks so much for being a part of the Adobe community. I'll see you around.